If you're thinking about buying a house for your kid at college near Santa Clara University or anywhere else in Silicon Valley, this video is going to show you the actual numbers behind that decision. Because if you run the math correctly, buying a house near campus isn't just a housing decision, it's an investment strategy that could leave you with a Silicon Valley asset instead of a receipt for $77,000 in rent. That's exactly what my husband and I figured out. The numbers surprised us. If you're just joining this series, quick context. I'm Theresa Wellman, a real estate agent with 21 years experience in Silicon Valley real estate market. And my engineering background means I don't give you opinions, I give you numbers. My husband and I recently bought a 1925 built investment property in Santa Clara with a 100-year-old brick and mortar foundation. In episode number 1, I shared why we said yes to this house. In episode number 2, I walked you through the 5 foundation inspection reports spanning 12 years. But today we're stepping away from the foundation drama because before any of that mattered, we had to answer a more fundamental question. Does buying a house for your kid at college actually make financial sense? And the answer starts with one number. What does it actually cost to house a college student near Santa Clara University in the middle of Silicon Valley? Quick question before we go further. Are you a parent paying college housing costs right now? And are you just starting to look ahead? Drop a comment below and I'll give you my honest take on whether this strategy makes sense for your situation. Let's start with what most SCU parents already know too well: on-campus housing costs. Santa Clara University requires students to live on campus for their first 2 years. So freshman and sophomore year, you don't have much of a choice. A standard double dorm room runs about $12,930 for a 9-month academic year. That's roughly $1,436 a month for 9 months. Ouch, that's a lot, right? For one person sharing a room. But here's the number most parents don't think about. Add in the required minimum dining plan, another $64.80 for that 9 months, and you're roughly at $21.56 a month total during the academic year for room and board. Now, if you want to spread that $19,410 over 12 months for a true annualized picture, you land at about $1,617 a month, with every month, year-round, for a double room and a meal plan. And that's the floor. I mean, a single room jumps up to $15,350, about $1,700 a month for 9 months, or $1,279 annualized without the food at all, or $1,819 a month annualized with food for a single room. So freshman and sophomore year, you're likely spending between $1,077 without food and $1,700 a month on just housing for your student, not including the minimum meal plan. That's the baseline we need to beat. So junior and senior year, students can move off campus. So what does that actually look like near Santa Clara University? SCU offers some off-campus affiliated housing, like apartment-style 4-bedroom townhomes at $14,325 for a 9-month school year. That sounds great until you realize that that unit is shared by 8 people. 8. You're paying a premium for a rent for a kitchen and not have to pay the meal plan. You're still sharing that kitchen with 7 other students and sharing a bedroom. The private rental market, well, I pulled current listings with it close proximity to campus. The Benton, which is a newer apartment complex very close to campus, starts over $4,000 a month for a 1-bedroom. 2 students sharing, that's still $2,000 a month each. Park Central comes in around $3,600, so that's roughly $1,800 per student per month. And a 3-bedroom house within a half mile, I searched Zillow, a 1,000-square-foot house listed at $6,500 a month. Yeah, that's huge. Split that 4 ways, about $1,625 per student, a better value than a shared 1-bedroom apartment though, right? So here's what the market is telling us. Whether you're on campus in a university apartment or renting privately, you're consistently paying $1,600 to $2,000 per student per month. And every dollar of that is gone, building equity for someone else. Before I get to the actual ownership numbers, if you're a parent or investor in Silicon Valley area and you want to run this math on a specific property, I offer a free 30-minute consultation. No pressure, just numbers. Link is in the description, and book a time and let's look at your situation together. So my husband and I sat down and asked a question any financially minded person would ask. What if we owned the property instead? We've been looking at diversifying our investments into local real estate for a while. We already own investment properties out of state, but when our daughter ended up at a local university, it reframed the conversation. We weren't just looking at an investment property. Now we were looking at a property that could solve an immediate housing need while also building equity. Also, did you know properties within half a mile of a university campus command a 33% valuation premium over those farther away? The national average student housing occupancy rate is also 91.6%, consistently strong. This supports the investment thesis for near campus properties. So the concept is straightforward. Buy a house near campus, daughter lives there, roommates pay rent, and we're building equity instead of writing checks into the void. First question we had to ask ourselves, what size house? Do we buy a 2-bedroom because it's cheaper, but it's fewer rentable rooms, which means less rentable income, and a smaller resale market? We want a buyer someday who isn't limited to the student rental niche. We want maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath because that has more flexibility, better resale, more rental income. And that's the direction we went. Second question, what can we realistically charge? Based on the market data I just showed you, the market supports $1,500 to $1,600 per student for a private room and $1,000 to $1,100 per student for a shared room. We modeled it conservatively. 2 single rooms at $1,500 each, 1 shared room, $1,100 per student, and we have 2 students or 2 in that room. Total monthly rental income around $5,200 a month. Third question, what purchase price makes the math work? After running the full PITI, or the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus amenities like internet, since student housing competition in the area offers internet, we calculated that a loan of approximately $600,000 gets us to roughly break even on the rental income for a non-owner occupied interest rate. So the question became, how much cash are we willing to put in, and what does the total purchase price look like? And can we find a sweet spot for that? Well, with $600,000 loan figure as our anchor, we started studying the local housing market seriously. We narrowed our search to 2 neighborhoods approximately 0.3 to 0.5 miles from the SCU campus. Close enough to walk to class in about 10 minutes, but not so close it feels like an extension of the dorm experience. That distance matters. Juniors and seniors want to feel like young adults in a real neighborhood, and if our daughter stays there after graduation, we wanted home to feel away from campus. Our target, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home under $1.5 million. And at that price point, with roughly $600,000 financed and the rest in cash, the rental income covers the carrying costs. And we're building equity in one of the most supply-constrained real estate markets in the country. There's also a longer play worth naming. Even after our daughter graduates, this property doesn't become a problem if she moves on. Student housing near SU is consistently in demand. There will always be juniors and seniors looking for off-campus housing. The tenant base essentially renews itself every year, and remember that stat mentioned above, 91.6% occupancy rate. And if our daughter stays in the area after graduation, well, she can stay in the property. The neighborhood is residential enough because of the distance away from campus we're looking that it works for young professionals too. We bought with all these scenarios in mind. So let me pull this all together into one clean comparison, because I think this is the most useful thing I can leave you if you're a parent thinking through this decision. Option A, on campus all 4 years, somewhere between $77,000 and over $100,000, just gone. Option B, rent off campus junior and senior year, and you're still paying $1,600 to $2,000 a month, 2 more years of rent outside the dorm, and another $38,000 to $48,000 gone. Option C, you own the property, your student lives there, roommates help cover the mortgage, you're building equity in Silicon Valley property, and at the end of 4 years, you still own an asset. Now, option C requires capital upfront and a lot to make the numbers work in Silicon Valley. It requires being a landlord or hiring someone to manage it. It requires buying the right property in the right location, and it requires tolerance for the unexpected, which, as you know from this series, we've experienced plenty of that. It is not the right move for everyone, for sure, but for families who have the capital, who are already thinking about real estate investment, and whose students are attending a school in a high-demand housing market, it is absolutely worth running the numbers, because the numbers might surprise you. Of course, none of this math matters if the property you're buying has surprises hiding inside the walls or underneath it, and ours did. In episode 4, we get into the contractor conversations, the bids, the wildly different opinions, and the discovery my 5th inspector made after we were already in contract that almost stopped this entire deal in its tracks. That one's coming soon. Make sure you're subscribed. So if you're a parent thinking through this for your own situation, or an investor looking at real estate near Santa Clara University or anywhere in San Jose or Silicon Valley, I'd love to run the numbers with you and use my experience to guide you. I offer a free 30-minute Zoom consultation. No pitch, just the math and honest conversation. The link to book is in the description below. And if you want to invest in other areas of the South Bay, you might find my free San Jose neighborhood guide helpful. It includes 10-year appreciation data, school ratings, safety scores, and median prices across 15 neighborhoods. Grab that in the description too. Are you a parent who's paying college housing costs right now? Ouch. Or are you someone who's already done this, bought near campus, and wants to share how it worked out? I would love to hear your story. Drop a comment and your experience. And if this data was helpful, hit that like button. It helps YouTube show this to other parents who are asking the same question. Next, watch episode 1 of the series, if you haven't already, where I walk you through why we bought a 1925 property with a 100-year-old brick foundation in the first place. That's linked in the description and in the card above. I'm Theresa Wellman with Homeowner Experience Real Estate, 21 years in Silicon Valley real estate, and I don't give opinions, I give you the numbers. See you in episode 4, where I reveal the surprise that almost had me walk away from the deal.